Well, welcome to the Helping Families Be Happy podcast, where we explore the often messy world of family love and relationships. I'm your host for this podcast, Christopher Robbins, husband, father of 9, founder of Familias, fly fisherman, and outdoor enthusiast living in the beautiful California Central Valley. We welcome today's guest, Bri DeRosa. Now, Bri has an MFA, is the content manager for the Family Dinner Project. She is a freelance writer and consultant to nonprofit organizations who has spent over 2 decades working in communications, programs development, and creative initiatives. Brie used to run a food blog and has contributed to the Cooking with Trader Joe's, Easy Lunchboxes cookbook, as well as the Cooking Light Dinner Time Survival Guide. She's also written for numerous outlets, including Motherwell Magazine, Yahoo Parenting, Handpicked Nation, and Kids Nation Magazine. She lives in Rhode Island with her husband and teenage sons. Now, you can learn more about the Family Dinner Project at familydinnerproject.org and by enjoying their book, Eat, Laugh, Talk, the Family Dinner Playbook, available wherever books are sold, and I'm proud to say published by Familias. Now, today we're talking about going back to school and lunch. Everyone loves lunch, especially our kids. Now, the podcast aligns with the Familias Habits Eat Together, and you can learn more about the Familias Habits, the 10 Habits of Happy Families, by going to the Habit Hub blog on familias.com. And for the video of this podcast, please go to the Familias YouTube channel. Now, Bri, hey, thanks for joining us to talk about lunch.
I am so happy to be here. I love talking lunch.
Right, it's almost lunchtime for me, so we're going to have to get through this.
Okay, well, I don't want to hold you up, so let's go.
Okay, so let's just start. You have a lot of research on what's going on with families actually eating together, and Eat, Laugh, Talk, the family dinner playbook that we did together, that was really about, helping families get back to the dinner table and all the real great things that happen when you do that. Now, is there any research about lunch?
That's a great question. And I would say, the research about shared meals is not only about dinner. And really what we're looking at now is a continuing strong body of research that suggests that eating any meal with other people in a social format actually makes you happier. That's one of the biggest new pieces of research out of the World Happiness Report. Globally, they've studied this. And if you eat with other people, dinner or lunch or breakfast or snacks, it makes you a happier person. And that effect is even stronger than things like whether or not you're employed or your health status. It's actually wild how much of a difference it makes to eat with other people. So lunch is absolutely important. And when we're talking about sending kids back to school and school lunch, what you want to be doing is creating an environment for them where they can easily and happily eat and socialize with the people around them, because that's going to make their day better.
Okay, well, let's talk about kids for a second. So, you've brought up some research. I'm just curious. They've done this research that we're happier. Have they done any research about what happens with kids? Does their anxiety go down? Is their stress level go down? Does their academic performance go up if we're eating together?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there is a huge mental health benefit across the lifespan, all ages. There are mental health benefits. And when you're talking about kids in particular, some of the things that parents are most concerned about, bullying, right? Emotional resilience, risky behaviors in older kids and teens, academic performance. All of those things are impacted positively by eating meals with your family or eating with others in a positive environment. And so what we see is kids who eat with their families are less prone to risky behaviors. They are less prone to eating disorders. They are more resilient against bullying in particular. They feel more strongly connected to their families. And they do have a higher academic performance level compared to their peers who don't eat with their families. And during back to school time, I always love to tell people that the research demonstrates that eating with your kids actually boosts their early literacy skills and their reading scores even more than reading to them. And now we love books. You love books. We love reading to your kids. Absolutely. You should do both, right? But when you eat together with your kids as a family, they encounter more adult words, more novel words, and they encounter the kind of sequencing and storytelling that we do when we have adult level conversations. So that boosts their early literacy skills and it makes them stronger readers even a few years down the line, and that shows up in their test scores. So really important to eat together.
Well, that's interesting. Familiar, we like big words. And I'd say one of my daughters, 15-year-old daughter, has found herself in delighting in 19th century literature. And so now the word of the day is requisite. She has to use the word requisite.
I really enjoy that word. I enjoy 19th century literature, and I enjoy introducing words of the day and big words at family dinner. And we actually on our site, I'll tell your listeners, under fun, we have lots of games that actually relate to vocabulary and wordplay and storytelling and literacy. So you can also check those out.
Well, good. All right. Well, let's get to lunch. Now, one of the challenges that we always have as we're rushing off to get our kids to the bus or we're taking them to school or they're doing it on their own because, they're capable, is what to pack. Help us know. Can you make this simple for us?
Yeah. So I think, first of all, we live in an era where it's really easy to be influenced, right? And all of the lunchbox blogs and Instagram influencers and so forth can make it seem like you have to pack this incredible picture perfect lunch and that you have to have really expensive gear and like all these things. You don't. Okay. Lunch can be very simple. It is a matter of what will your child eat, most importantly, right? What will be easy for them to eat, because often they have a very limited amount of time to eat and there's a lot going on around them. So they're talking to their friends and they're forgetting about their sandwich. And also, what is reasonably nutritionally valuable to get them through the day. And every child is different, but you can follow a very simple template. This is what I recommend. I've always done this in my household. One main dish, 2 to 3 servings of fruits and vegetables, and a sweet treat. And that can look as simple as peanut butter and jelly sandwich, carrot sticks, applesauce, strawberries, oatmeal cookie, right? Very simple. Or you can be more adventurous and you can say, okay, I cooked up frozen pot stickers with edamame, bell pepper strips, some plums, and a granola bar, right? Very simple, but make it things that your kids will eat and that they don't have to wrestle with. And this is what I'll just say quickly. This is one of the reasons that I think things like bento boxes have taken off. You don't need to get your kid a bento box, but one of the advantages to having something similar to that in format is that they take off one lid and all of the food is available to them. And that makes it a lot easier for them to eat than trying to get everything opened, 6 different packages, Ziploc bags, and thing. So that's one thing to consider, but you can get them at any price point. And if you don't want to, it doesn't matter. Just what does your kid like to eat? You start there.
And as Megamind did say, it's all about presentation.
It's all about present. It is. It is. And there is something, you can use a bento box and not have to make it look cute, but there is something nice about the way food looks, even when you just chuck it in a bento box, and it can entice kids to eat.
Right. And I like the simplicity of that. I can tell you when I go fly fishing, I'm up on a river in the mountains and I'm not coming back to my car. It's always a PB&J on wheat with an apple and a couple of mozzarella cheese sticks, and I'm good for the day. There you go.
Right. And that's the thing. You don't have to be creative if that's not your jam. Some people get a lot of joy out of doing it. If that's not who you are, stick with who you are. And if your kid eats the same lunch 5 days a week because it feels safe to them and that's what they like, that's their routine, make the same lunch 5 days a week until they get sick of it. Right? Follow their lead. It's really, as long as they're eating, they're growing, they're thriving, they're learning, that's all we care about.
Okay, well, let's talk about school. In school, there's a lot of different stresses and obstacles and challenges that just exist in school. So how can, are there psychological challenges that go into having lunch at school, and what can we do to help there?
Yeah, so I think especially with little kids when they're transitioning into a school lunch atmosphere, this is overwhelming. And with any meal, I would say parents tend to underestimate the kind of social demands that are happening and the developmental demands. So if you think about what it takes to eat lunch in a cafeteria when you're a little kid, the first thing is you've got a lot of noise. Cafeterias are loud places. You have unfamiliar smells. Cafeterias have a smell, right? We all know, we can all smell it right now. There's a lot of different people, so there's visual stimulation. It might be hot, it might feel crowded. Now you have to figure out where you're going to sit, right? Now you've got to deal with who am I sitting with? That's a social challenge. How comfortable do you feel? Now you have to unpack your food and get ready to eat. And that's fine motor. That's for some kids worry about like, what are people going to say about my lunch, right? There's a social component there. Now you have to actually put yourself to the physical work of eating and socializing with friends, managing your time, handling different conversations going across you, remembering to eat your food, hearing the lunch monitors say it's time to clean up and you didn't get 3 bites of your sandwich yet. You've got to rush, you've got to pack up. It's a lot, right? If you think about it that way, it's a lot, especially for younger kids. So you want to do things like, one, make sure that the food is adequately sized for them to be able to eat it well. Littler kids, cut up the sandwich into tiny squares. Let them give them a toothpick or something if you want, but let them like just be able to pick up bite-sized chunks of food. Makes it a lot easier. Two, don't have a lot of packaging because the more packaging they're dealing with, the more stressful it is. Three, make sure that you practice opening everything that they're going to have to open. Their backpack, their lunchbox, their containers, they know where everything is. Give them ownership over that before they start with that first day at lunch, right? And four, make sure that you are making lunch feel as comfortable and familiar as possible. So you're not trying to engage them with new foods at lunchtime. It's too much. You're giving them colors, textures, smells, tastes that they enjoy. And you can put in a little drawing or a little lunchbox note or something to encourage them so that they feel that you're there with them during that scary, scary time in the lunchroom.
Great advice. Love it. Okay, now I'm a big believer in that kids can do a lot on their own. That
Absolutely.
we, as parents and as teachers and as coaches, we can often get in the way of this experience that these children are having. So, what do you recommend that kids can do for their own lunch?
Yeah, so this is such a hot topic, right? Kids can pack their own lunch. Most kids can manage packing at least part of their own lunch from kindergarten onward. And parents really have a hard time with that because it's your baby and you want to. And by the way, I just sent my first son off to college. My other one is going to be a junior in high school this year. And we do still sometimes pack lunch for them, not because they can't, but because they're really busy. They're out at sports practice late. It's crazy. We just take care of it for them as an act of love. But we know that they know how to do it. And here's the thing. You want to give kids input, buy-in, and ownership, right? The input looks like, I'm going to the grocery store tomorrow. What are 3 things you'd like me to buy to have in your lunches this week? The buy-in is, okay, we have to pack a lunch for you for tomorrow. So I would like to pack you a sandwich, and I'd like you to choose 2 things to go with it. So you're not giving them like 8 million choices, right? I am packing you a sandwich. You can buy into choosing 2 things to go with it. Now that lunch feels like something they've helped to choose. Then the ownership part is, and I'm going to have you put these things in your container and then tell me if it looks like it needs something else. So they have physically done the work and they've owned the process and they've decided when that lunch looks correct. They've owned that. Now it goes in the fridge, right? And we're ready, or it's the morning, we've done it, and it goes in your backpack, we're off to school. That's what you do with the younger kids. As you get older, the process is relatively the same, but you're adding the autonomy, right? You're like, hey, instead of I'm packing you a sandwich, hey, you can choose a turkey wrap, or you can make mac and cheese and put it in a thermos. But those are your choices for tonight. Make sure you get it done before whatever, right? Before 9 o'clock or before you take your shower or whatever it is, right? And you kind of guide them through that process all the way up to the point where they're in high school. And the only thing you have to do is say, hey, you got lunch?
So we're building self-reliance from a really early age by using lunch as the medium. That's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I,
absolutely. And you can do it with dinner too.
yes. And I'm sure that all parents can agree that while we like to help them, it's really nice when a child is a self-starting, communicative, responsible problem solver.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they don't get there overnight. I think a lot of times parents wait until a child demonstrates a skill before they give it to them. But you're going to be waiting a long time because most of the time we don't just grow a new skill overnight. We actually have to develop it through practice. And so don't be afraid to give them responsibility and to scaffold it for them, walk them through the process, supervise, right? But don't jump in to do what a child can do themselves, even if they're struggling a little bit. Watch first. Hey, what if you tried this? Right? Not, let me do it for you. It makes a big difference.
Yeah. Well, my dad would give me a job, and when it would take an hour and 10 minutes before it was completed, he would say, "Hey, can I show you an easier way of doing that?" All right,
So true.
let's talk about simple ideas with dinner. Now, dinner sometimes are leftovers. Now, with my family with 9 kids, there were never any leftovers.
She's gonna say you don't have leftovers.
There were not leftovers, but I assume that we can translate leftovers or dinner into lunches. So, any creative ideas there that we can share with our audience?
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, dinner as a strategy for setting up for lunch is like one of the biggest lifesavers in our household. And it can be just as easy as dinner leftovers are going, right? And then you're throwing an apple and a granola bar at it, and lunch is done. You don't even have to think about it. Other things you can do though is you can think about, hey, I made a roast chicken or I made some grilled chicken. I always try to think if I make a little bit extra of something, is that going to help me get to lunch the next day? So if I have an extra grilled chicken breast, I can slice that up. I can make 2 chicken Caesar salad wraps, right? Or 2 chicken tacos or whatever for the kids' lunch boxes. If I'm making spaghetti and there's that little bit of scraping of sauce in the bottom, you don't really want to waste it, but it's not really enough. It's perfect for making pizza bagels. So, keep some bagels in the house, keep some cheese in the cheese drawer, little bit of sauce, little bit of cheese, broil that. Your kids are going to eat that for lunch. That's a slam dunk, right? Little things like that, or make extra pasta and then, toss it with some vegetables and some mozzarella cheese balls and your kid's favorite dressing, and they have pasta salad for lunch. You're always thinking, how do I get one step ahead so that lunch is actually less work because I have the food already. I just need to package it for the child in a way that feels accessible.
Brilliant ideas. Well, Brie, thanks for sharing those with us today and joining us. Now, where can our guests find you online?
So you can find us online at thefamilydinnerproject.org. I will say we have a back to school hub. So if you go thefamilydinnerproject.org and search up back to school, we have a back to school page there with lots of food, fun, conversation, meal planning, tips and tricks to get you all set up for the school year. And always, always, always reach out to us. We also have a podcast, the Family Dinner Project podcast, which is available on all of the main platforms. We take questions from listeners, and we're always happy to talk about whatever families need to make family meals easy, accessible, and meaningful.
Great. Well, if you want your family to be happy, well, make sure that you eat together, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, or snacks, and maybe check out the Family Dinner Project. as well as Eat, Laugh, Talk, the Family Dinner Playbook, published by Familias. Now, as we conclude today's podcast, I'd like to thank Familias for its support in bringing the podcast to your ears and your heart. We'd be thrilled if you subscribe to the podcast and left a review. And when you're ready for that next amazing book adventure, we'd be honored if you chose a book from Familias. One step at a time, one family meal at a time, we can make the world a happier place.